and senior press people from both print and electronic media, and my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, let me thank each one of you for coming to this press conference and giving us an opportunity to what is called popularize the banking ombudsman scheme. Every year, you are playing a very important role in popularizing the scheme, and we could see the impact subsequently, what is called when we interact with the public and the common man. In this press briefing, what we will do, for about 10-15 minutes, I will brief about the functioning of the BO's office, which is taking care of both the states, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. And next 15 minutes, I will talk about what is called as some of the initiatives taken by the Reserve Bank of India in the area of customer service and customer protection. And next 15 minutes, I will talk something about what are the significant issues we have handled during the year. And finally, we will discuss for about 5 to 10 minutes on the exceptional cases we handled during the year, from where you can actually make an assessment about the impact of the scheme. And finally, sufficient time will be given to all of you to ask questions about the scheme and so on and so forth. So this is going to be the structure, and we propose to complete the whole thing within a period of 60 to 65 minutes. Okay, so let me start the what is called as briefly presenting about the functioning of the banking ombudsman office. Now, where is Shankar? Next slide. Okay, who is operating? Yeah. So as I was just mentioning to you, this press conference is arranged for sharing with the press personnel about the banking ombudsman scheme, because this is one scheme which is zero cost and it has a time-bound disposal of the cases. So in fact, majority of the beneficiaries from this scheme are the common people, and the number of complaints, if you see, the popularity is increasing from the rural and semi-urban areas. So therefore, this scheme really addresses the concerns of the common man. Now, as you're all aware, this Banking Ombudsman Scheme 2006 is what is called as an expeditious way of resolving the complaints relating to the banks. In fact, today we have 26 public sector banks, 20 private sector banks, and 44 foreign banks, and 56 RRBs in the country. In our both the states, more or less, all these institutions are represented. So all the complaints coming out of the deficiency in banking services are addressed by the banking ombudsman. So therefore, this scheme covers all the scheduled commercial banks, regional rural banks, and foreign banks. Of course, foreign bank is also a scheduled commercial bank. Now, the first and the foremost thing is, wherever you go to any interior branch, anywhere in both the states, you will have to find that the banking ombudsman name, designation, name, telephone number, how to send a complaint, and so on and so forth. Today, even lodging of complaint has become so simple that online they can lodge the complaint. Thereafter, once a complaint reaches the BO's office, thereafter we will take the follow-up action, take up the redressal. Primarily, it is the responsibility of the bank to resolve the complaint. I think somebody has to, who is, give it to me. So primarily what happens is, it is the responsibility of the banker to resolve the complaint, because we expect the bank should be the first place to resolve the complaints. Yeah. Now, Now let me tell you some numbers where you will get a flare of complaints what we are receiving. See, during the year 2014-15, 4,366 complaints were received by the banking ombudsman as against 4,477 during the previous year. You may be wondering why there is a reduction of complaints. In a way, the reduction indicates the resolution at the branch level. If the resolution takes at the branch level, that means the number of complaints coming to the banking ombudsman office will come down. So that is one way of interpreting the reduction in the complaints. Then today, see, if you see the what is called the bank-wise classification of complaints received. Now, as you are all aware, State Bank of India and associate banks have a largest presence in both the states. In fact, they have as many as 2,800 branches in both the states. So accordingly, the number of complaints coming from SBI and associate banks is 44%. Because I always request the media people to kindly keep this in mind, saying that because why there is a 44% contribution by State Bank, because their branch network is also like this. In fact, if you compare the branch network, as many as 24% of the branches in both the states belongs to State Bank of India and associate banks. Thereafter, the nationalized banks is 28% and the private sector bank 19%, foreign banks 4%, and scheduled urban cooperative banks and regional rural banks 2%. The idea is to just to give an indication that what is the kind of distribution as far as the banks are concerned. Now, if you look at the geographical distribution from where we are getting the complaint, because a little while ago I was just mentioning that slowly we are getting more number of complaints from the rural areas and semi-urban areas. If you see the kind of data, you can see that the 32% of the complaints comes from urban areas and 29% comes from the semi-urban and rural. So urban and semi-urban rural put together comes to about 61%. Metropolitan region is about 39%. So the idea is that we wanted to make this scheme more popular in the rural areas. Now, the next very important thing is what is the type of complaints we receive? What is the nature of the complaints we receive? If you look at the slide, it clearly indicates as many as 25.4% of the complaints relate to ATM, debit card and credit card complaints. Now, this is a very important and very significant thing, because as we are all aware, as a delivery channel, ATM is becoming more and more popular. Today we have as many as 2 lakh ATMs in the system. And a customer of any bank can use the ATM of any other bank. So therefore, the robust ATM mechanism is extremely important. But in spite of that, almost about 26% of the complaints coming to the BO's office are relating to the ATM, debit card, credit card related complaints. Now, this is the same case for the entire India. All over the India, the number of complaints received at the banking ombudsman is about 75,000. Out of 75,000, 28% complaints relate to ATM, credit card, debit card. This we will discuss more in detail as we get along. What are the initiatives taken by Reserve Bank to see that the customer is protected? Because sometimes what happens is that the customer is not at fault, but he loses the money. But how do we address this issue? As we get along, we'll discuss more about it. Thereafter, the 8% complaints comes from the pensions. Because as you're all aware, Government of India and Reserve Bank of India is extremely concerned about the pensioners, senior citizens. But still, 8% of the complaint comes from the pensioners, senior citizens, saying that medical allowance is not given, a DA is not released, or they are holding my pension for want of some other loan, and so on and so forth. Then the other major area is about the charging of fees and abnormal charges, abnormal what is called fees to be charged, etc. Now during the year, if you look at it, we have resolved almost about 28% of the complaints through conciliation.
through a process of conciliation. You see, basically, this banking ombudsman scheme intention is it should be settled by a process of mediation and conciliation. That means the basic emphasis is that we have to bring both the parties together, banker as well as the customer, ask them to sit at one place and then discuss what are the issues. Ultimately, our idea is to settle the issue through a process of mediation and conciliation. So 28% of the cases are settled through the process of mediation and conciliation. And sometimes what happens is the moment the complaint reaches the banking ombudsman, immediately banker talks to the customer and manages to get a letter of withdrawal. That means immediately those things are withdrawn. So if you can see the number, on account of the mere mention of the banking ombudsman, as many as 50% of the complaints are getting either withdrawn or getting resolved. So that's a very good thing. That means in the whole set of financial system, the regulator still commands that kind of a respect. Now these are some of the initiatives we have taken in association with our regional director. Because a regional director is in charge of both the states, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, as you're all aware. Then we have what is called a mandate to popularize the kind of facilities available and to empower the common man, and several initiatives are taken. And incidentally, in the folder which is given to you, there is one press release. It is there in the press release. There is a copy of this presentation in the folder. And third thing is, there is the frequently asked questions, both in English as well as Telugu.